right now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
Boom, 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 boom. 4:06, 6 after 4 on the 14th day of June in the Lord's year 2016. J. Michael McCoy. High today, 94. The humidity is way up, but aren't we supposed to get a pretty good little rainstorm tonight and tomorrow? And like a whole day of rain.
Yes.
And then cooling it off.
Yeah, we're under severe storm watch in Polk County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the only reason I'm asking Bob this is because he just put a whole bunch of peanuts in his mouth. We're peanuts eaters up here because peanuts are good for you, and they're easy to eat, and we can buy them in these big cans. So every once in a while, when I catch one of these guys on the radio eating eating peanuts, I'll ask him a question. So, and Chris, he just takes a whole... What is this today talking about food all day? I must be hungry. I had my Perkins breakfast this morning. It was really
think you're
good.
making the listeners hungry too, Mac.
Yeah, really? Are they?
We might need to offer free Chick-fil-A or something.
Yeah, there we go. Volunteer. All right, we are going to have a very special guest today, Dave Johnson. He's a state senator from the state of Iowa, and Tom Coates are in here, and Dave Johnson is the gentleman who spoke about his role in the Republican Party, and we don't exactly know what the details are, so we thought we'd get it straight from the Johnson's mouth. And David, welcome to Mac's World, and thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and you can wear those headphones if you want, but unless we get a caller, you won't need them on there at all. So you can hear me okay, though?
Oh, I love it, yeah.
All right. So tell me, you're District 1, is that right?
That's correct.
And what district is that?
Well, that makes up 5 counties in the far northwest corner of the state, and that would be Lyon, Osceola, Dickinson, Clay, and Palo Alto. So I represent the Iowa Great Lakes. A lot of people enjoy the Great Lakes from here in the Polk County area. And so I go from the South Dakota border. I'm right up against Minnesota, so it's the corner, as the city of Larchwood says, we're the cornerstone of Iowa.
Does that include Esterville?
No, it does not.
Does not. Okay. Now and that's District 1. And how long have you been in the House?
Senate. Yeah, I'm in the Senate.
Or the Senate, I'm sorry.
I'm just finishing my 14th year in the Senate.
14th year.
Yeah, I'm the second most senior member of the Republican caucus, and I was 4 years in the House before that.
And why do you do this? I know I don't mean that sarcastically, but it's kind of a funny question nowadays. I don't know why a decent man, and you are a decent man, would ever want to be involved in this game we call legislation. I don't know.
Well, it depends on how you look at elected office. Here's how I look at it. It's not. Let me borrow a quote from Herbert Hoover. Now,
I've heard of him.
Yes, the only Iowan ever elected president of the United States. I always like to talk about Mr. Hoover because he was a godly man, did a lot of great humanitarian work in the world. But I was raised in West Branch, and President Hoover said once, politics is not a noble profession. Public service is, and that's how I look on it as being a public servant, working with people, I look back at it, and I was the third generation of my family be president of the local chamber of commerce. I mean, I was just raised that way. My dad was national commander of the American Legion in the 60s. He went on to serve under the Nixon administration as director of the Veterans Administration. And,
neat.
And he had a long federal career after that. It just came, my grandfather was the same way. Both grandfathers, in fact. And if you want to know the whole story there, one grandfather, the Dane, was my Grandpa Johnson was a Republican, and Grandpa Zuckamel on my mother's side, a Czech, was a Democrat.
Wow. That made for interesting Thanksgiving dinners.
It sure did. It sure did.
Radio guys, we always think we ought to be the mayor or, something like that because we have heads so large. Well, Tom, you know how big his head is. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, did that come out wrong? I'm sorry, Tom.
I'm sure it came out correctly.
Because I consider you a radio guy as much as a consumer credit guy. So I had a business in Clive, Iowa here for years and years and years, and I used to tell Dennis Henderson, who is the best city manager in the world, and I'm not kidding you. You check that guy out. He is the best. I told him that if I ever moved to Clive, that I would run for mayor. Well, 12 years ago, my wife and I moved to Clive, and it was the time in which the mayor was stepping down, so there was no, what do you call that? Incumbent. And so I told Dennis Henderson, I said, well, I'm going to run for mayor. J. Michael McCoy, mayor of Clive. That just fits me fine. I said, do you have any mayoral training classes or something to get an idea what it's like? Because it's kissing babies and it's just shaking hands and it's cutting the ribbon on the right. That's all it is. So the wisdom of Dennis Henderson steps in and says, Mac, I think I'll put you on the Citizens Budget Review Committee. Oh, great. Yeah, that's fine. Find out about the money and how much the light bulbs cost. David, this is the truth. First break we got. So probably half hour, 40 minutes into the first budget bill meeting. I go out to the hallway. I call my wife and I say, I'm never going to run for mayor in my life. Absolutely told me that guys like you who have public service in your blood, you're the one that needs to be heading cities and states and counties and districts. Guys like me ought to just keep talking behind the mic and let everything else be still.
Well, so far you're doing a pretty good job of that.
On that I am, aren't I? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. By the way, I don't know if you came in a little late. This is Bob Montserrat. And Bob is a former DCI state investigator, retired from the States, been with me for 6 years. He's the brains. You remember Seinfeld? Did you watch Seinfeld?
No, never did. I heard that the show was about nothing, so I didn't think I would get anything out of it.
So what was your favorite sitcom? Lucy? Did you like Lucy?
I think life is funny enough the way it is.
You don't need to watch TV?
No, I didn't. I really didn't watch sitcoms.
Okay, all right.
I watched The Fugitive and Combat.
Yeah, Combat.
Those were great shows back in the 60s.
Absolutely. Mannix.
Yeah. I still stay up until 10:30 at night to watch Perry Mason. So
Do you still have nightmares about the one-armed man and Fugitive?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I would be Gerard. Is it Lieutenant Gerard?
That's right.
There you go. So
Gerard.
Bob, but see, we typecast. So we are who we really are. For instance, Bob is incredibly intelligent. I mean, he's a scientist. He's traveled the world. He's saved people's lives as well as told us how they died after they died. So Bob's the wise owl. Then you have Frank. I admit it, I have a resident bigot and racist on my radio program. And just because it's just so horrible to hear him say that when he says things like that I just know I'm sitting with Jesus and I must be good because I don't like hearing
He
that.
made that mistake of putting out the bowl of milk.
Yeah.
And the kitty, the feral cat, came around, and now I can't get rid of the feral cat.
Now, Tom's the sophisticated, smart one. He knows about money. He knows about politics. He knows about family. He knows about grandkids. He's a wonderful husband. And Tom, every once in a while, just gets a little excited. And him and Frank actually agree sometimes, which is really scary. And then there's Jebediah, and he's the new young upstart. He's my legacy right there. He's going to take this whole thing over one day and turn it into a big deal. And you're the most important person in the room because you're the guest. And so I thank you for coming to be the guest today.
Well, thank you.
So
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Tell me what's going on here with you and the Republican Party. I want to hear it straight from you.
Well, it's really me and Donald Trump.
Okay.
And the fact that Mr. Trump is on his way to being the face of the party. And he has certainly made a name for himself even before he announced his candidacy. I guess I've always been very skeptical of Mr. Trump, and I remember back early in the days of the campaign, and he said, "I'm running as a Republican." He didn't say I am a Republican. He said, "I'm running as a Republican." because it's the only way that he could make any headway to getting the nomination. He couldn't run as a Democrat, even though he's been one most of his life.
You don't think he could have beat Hillary?
No, absolutely not.
Could anyone have beat Hillary?
Well, I think if the system wasn't so rigged, I think Bernie would have come away with the nomination.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, these super delegates that they use over there on the other side, I don't understand them.
It's kind of cheating, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's like you get all your delegates, and then you say, "Oh, but wait, we got this guy." Okay. All right, so Donald J. Trump is going to become the face of the party. And is it one of those deals where you just can't... Let me put it into my terms. All right, I'm going to say something that may be offensive to some people, and I don't mean it to be offensive, but it's my opinion, not the opinion of the radio station. If Joel Osteen was on this radio program, was on this radio station, I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't think Joel Osteen is as bad as Donald J. Trump by any means, but the spiritual message is broken in Joel Osteen, just like the political message is broken in Donald Trump. Is that fair to say?
I would think that would be a good
way to say it. All right.
Good way to say it. And it was just that there were it just begins with the first televised debate and the way he attacked Megyn Kelly, and then it brought up all the history of Mr. Trump and his women. And on and on and on and on, and that was one thing. And then there was the ban on Muslims.
All right, you hold your thought right there. We're up against a hard break.
Oh, we are. We have hard breaks here.
We have hard breaks. Okay. Senator David Johnson, District 1, in his 14th year serving Iowa, 4 years previous to that in the House. We're glad to have him here. You'll be able to ask him questions. That's coming up next.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 4:21 in the afternoon. You know, you may have been thinking about retiring. You may have been thinking about doing something for your family. So after you're gone, they're taken care of. You may just be thinking about pulling stuff out of where it is and maybe putting it someplace safer. Well, I'd recommend Weiss Merkel Financial. They're on the radio with us on Mondays. They'll be here next Monday, and they'll answer any questions you might have. And if you would like to go to one of their seminars, I could get you free tickets. $50 for a couple of tickets for 2 different days. Well worth it. Couple hours in the evening. You could call Bob Montserrat or Facebook him or text him. He can tell you all about it. He went there on his own, and you learned a lot. You said you really learned a lot, especially about Social Security.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in now that I'm in that age group. So when you're there, you need to find out because they change the rules all the time.
Yeah, they do. Weiss Merkel Financial. Check them out and tell them Max sent you. All right. Tomorrow, Luke Tim from Living Faith will be in, and Spencer Spencer Karoff will be here on Thursday, and I imagine what's going on in Orlando and the bigger picture of how it impacts Christianity, because this is coming down on us. That left media is going to spin this to where this was our fault. Just I'm telling you, 4:22 in the afternoon on the 14th of June. I'm telling you that 6 months from now, you're going to look back and say, you remember when Max said they were going to blame it on the Christians? I thought he was crazy.
It won't take 6 months.
Yeah, it won't, will it?
No.
Won't.
Be about 30 days.
So that's kind of the next couple of days here on the old radio ranch. So we appreciate you taking the time to listen. My guest today is Tom Coates, of course, from Consumer Credit of Des Moines, and he's brought David Johnson in. David is a 14-year state senator from District 1, kind of the Lakes area, and you said before that 4 years in the House?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right, so 18 years. What do you do for a living? Is that what you do for a living now?
Well, I kind of retired. I spent the previous 15 years. Last year, I after some surgeries I've had, I've decided to retire from dairy farming. So for the previous 15 years, I would go home after the session and work on a farm with some real wonderful people up there that I got to know, about 20 years ago, and then I went to work for them.
Well, I was raised on a dairy farm, milked cows every morning.
Every politician that I've ever met at some point milked cows.
Really?
Yeah. When I first met Governor Dugard, and he asked me what I did, and I told him that, and this is South Dakota's governor.
Yeah.
He said, well, I used to milk cows. And I said to him, Governor, no disrespect here, but I don't know a politician who didn't milk cows.
At one point or another.
Right.
Come out on the farm. Yeah, we had...
That cuts two ways. They actually did, or maybe...
Yeah.
Or they milk something else.
The people's money, maybe.
This reminds me, we had Robert Kennedy come to, and we were Republicans, but somehow he came to our farm and he would not touch those udders. He just thought that was just yucky. I can probably tell you that Robert Kennedy died never milking a cow.
You could draw some parallels there with Marilyn Monroe, but we won't.
No, that was John F. That was John F.
It was actually Robert, too.
Yeah, it was.
I'm with Tom on this one.
All right, I don't
want to go into that?
No, I don't really want to get into that.
Yeah,
I know.
Because I've been abducted.
By aliens?
Yeah. Okay. Let's not go. Let's get back to talking about what's going on here in Iowa.
Speaking of aliens, those of us who follow Jesus, we're the aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
The residents are the ones that can't see Christ anywhere, and they were the ones that were created to live in this world, this broken world. So next time you think you feel like a duck out of water, well, you are. You're an alien, and if you'd like to learn more about that, read the book. Is it Alien Resident or Resident Alien? One of the two.
Resident Alien, I think, is the title.
It's either Resident Alien or Alien Resident, and it's an amazing book. It's a good read. A lot of freshly graduated seminary students will read it so they understand that when they go into their first church, that they are the alien in a place that other people are very comfortable calling home, and that's Earth, as it is now. All right, so you've been a Republican all your life?
Yes.
You said you had a Democrat on one side and a Republican on the other, but why did you go with the Republican Party? Because you must have had influence from both.
Well, actually, there's a little bit of a religious story to that. When my father, who was Danish Lutheran, and my mother, a Czech Catholic, met, my dad said, I'll make a deal with you. I'll convert to Catholicism if you'll become a Republican. And it set that entire Suckamel family is still not over that yet, that one of theirs went to the other side. But I think it was a pretty good match.
Pretty good match.
You know.
Do you ever feel like you could be a Democrat too?
Well, there's times when we should be working together, for the common interest of the citizens. But in this polarized world, no, I mean, I wouldn't be a registered Democrat. No, that's not my point that I'm trying to make here. I'm just saying that here's what I'm saying. My values have not changed. I have the same values that I've always had serving in public office. It's that the party is losing its way by nominating someone whose values are nowhere near mine or most of the people I represent.
Now, I will tell you, Frank's a Trump fan. Mm-hmm. So you would have started with Walker or
I started with Walker. I thought he was the guy to thread the needle between the establishment, the conservative, and the libertarian. Scott Walker come out in Ames, and he just looked flat. Ben Carson grew up in my denomination is the reason why I took a look at Ben Carson. I had some reservations about him, but I'm willing to let the party sort this stuff out. I mean, the way was paved for Jeb Bush. I mean, the money was on his side. They moved Florida up in the calendar. They made it a winner-take-all thing. Donald Trump picked Jeb Bush up, Andre the Giant, threw him out of a WWE wrestling ring, and everybody stood silent while he done it. Whoever, Ted Cruz, whoever. Then all of a sudden, when the way got paved for somebody else besides Jeb, then it became a feeding frenzy of everybody attacking everybody else. But let me ask this of you. I feel, and I want to see if you agree, that Trump is only a symptom of a deeper-rooted problem in the GOP, in that the Tea Party give the party the what's the word I'm thinking of, Bob or Tom?
I don't know, Frank.
The lead. They gave them the lead in the Senate and the House, 10 and 14. And a lot of people out there think we've squandered that.
Oh, you're talking about the wave election.
The wave election gave the majority. Majority is the term I'm trying to think of.
First the House and then the Senate. You're right.
If the majority had done what the voters had sent them up there to do, we likely wouldn't have Trump. I think Trump is only a symptom of what the GOP has let us down. What's your feelings?
Well, that's a lot of dead air, isn't it?
Well, I'm just letting you think.
Yeah, I don't really.
Do you agree? First off, David, do you agree with his assessment that we have been betrayed by people we put into the House and the Senate to do the right thing, oppose Barack Obama in his very far left agenda, and that is in fact, that's much of the reason why Bernie Sanders is also as popular. He is outside the establishment. Hillary Clinton was rejected by many of the Democrats, and Bernie Sanders was the Democrat version of Trump, outside the system, right?
Well, yeah, you could say that, but Donald Trump is no outsider.
Well,
he's no outsider,
but he's viewed as an outsider. He's viewed as a plain-spoken outsider.
But somebody has to point people in the right direction and to point that out. He is not an outsider. He's been working behind the scenes to get anything he can for his empire, and he's purportedly worth $10 billion. What does he care about me or you or you or you or you? What does this guy care? What does he really care about you? It's all about him.
He doesn't care anything.
It's all about him, and people better understand that. But I agree with you that we did that. At the same time, we have a record number of Republicans in the United States House, and yet they can't even get along. What's going on here? I mean, there's that I don't know what it is, that wing that's there, the freedom wing, that it doesn't matter who the speaker is. They're just not going to go
The Tea
along.
Party? Tea Party, is that who you're
the
thinking
Tea
of?
Party wing, whatever they are, Congressman King and his friends. I thought that they were going to get along fine with Speaker Ryan. And I'm almost blaspheming here because I come from the 4th District. But, why can't they get along? Why can't they say, that they'll follow Speaker Ryan? I think he's a very intelligent man. He just doesn't have the passion to be president right now.
Well, what do you think about our trade situation, for example? I mean, all the NAFTA, the TTPs, all the trade deals we seem to get into that promote supposedly free trade, but it's anything but we need fair trade, but it's free trade. So do you like these trade deals? Do you think that we get the short end of the stick of these? I mean, Trump seems to be talking some language to some people that's lost a lot of jobs in this country. And whether you like him or not, I think there's some things that he's clearly resonating with the American voters on.
Well, when it comes to trade, you'd better be careful because our farm economy, which is the absolute foundation of this state, would not succeed, would have a hard time today, and there's a lot of pain out there in farm country. It's hurting badly, that's struggling, and we need better prices out there. I don't know when they're going to come, but if we can't get our product out of this country, out of the state and out of this country, we're going to be hurting. So I'm a free trader, but I agree that it's got to be done fairly. But when Donald Trump says that China's going to get the best end of the deal out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, it has nothing to do with China. It has nothing to do with China. It has to do with the Pacific Rim and being able to get our products in Iowa, especially, out there. So I guess that's how I'd answer that question. I believe he's demagoguing that subject just like any other subject that he's demagogued.
David Johnson is our guest. District 1, 1st District in the state of Iowa. He's been a senator for 14 years, and before that, a congressman in the House for, they don't call him congressman, do they?
No, state representatives.
4 years. So 18 years he has served this great state, and if you heard the beginning of the program, you heard why. It's because it's in his blood. I mean, it's just the way he was created. To serve people, and not to serve people for himself, not to serve people for his financial interest, to serve people to leave this place better than what you found it. And my guess is right now, that looks a little tough.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In what respect? To leave it a better place, certainly it is, because I'm in a party that's been in the minority in the Iowa Senate since 2007.
Will that change this time around, David? I'm told that we've had some of your colleagues on here, Brad Zahn and some of the others. They seemed optimistic about the chances of gaining control this time around. Are you?
No, I'm not optimistic, really. And I'm sorry that I feel that way, but I've been around the block a few times. Politics has been something I've been very interested in. Elections, it's something that I paid attention to my whole life. Okay, we're going to break here.
Another hard break.
Hey, I like these hard breaks.
And then when we come back, I want you to tell me what you think a Donald J. Trump administration does to this country, in your opinion. We're coming back live.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Hank, the Bible Answer Man, 1-888 Ask Hank. It's a worldwide live show, and you can only hear it live here on 99.3 every day, 5 to 6 o'clock, Monday through Friday. So I hope you tune in.
He is good, Mac. I've been listening to him some.
Do you agree with him all the time?
I haven't found anything I disagree with him on, and I mean, he's the real deal.
Yeah, and he's very up on current events as well as his Bible and understanding that. I've heard a couple things on there that I didn't think sounded right, but I'm no expert, so I've written them down and I've called different pastors.
Sure you didn't
and
just
stuff.
take a nap and wake up with Steve Dace?
Wait a minute. What did you just say? I took a nap and woke up where?
It was Steve.
No, I didn't do that. So, David Johnson is my guest. He's from District Number 1. That's the Lake area here in Iowa. 14 years in the Senate in Iowa, and 4 years previously to that in the House. You are you leaving the Republican Party, or have you threatened to leave the Republican Party?
I've changed my voter registration to
You have?
no
Okay.
party or independent, yes.
All right. And he just came out and showed me a stack. And he's got a stack here, I suppose, what is that? Is that 3 inches?
Well, I said he almost killed a tree with that.
Yeah, so a 3-inch stack. I mean, just so much paper you can't believe. And these are people who agree with you. And the ones that disagree with you, I don't think there's probably 20 emails in there. But they think you're doing wrong by leaving your party.
Well, I'm suspending my registration. I'm a Republican. I won't be a Democrat, but that doesn't mean that I have to be registered that way for this election, especially when on the eve of what appears to be a Trump nomination for president.
David, and I want to first off thank you for coming over. You made yourself available. You did a TV interview earlier. We struggled to get you into the studio. I appreciate all the time that you've spent getting in here and making yourself available. And you and I have known each other for some years. A few years back, you were the chair of the Iowa Prayer Breakfast. I've been on that committee for 20 years, and you've been on there for some. And I appreciate all the work that you've done. Having said that, I want to point out at this point, short of something, an act of God, Hillary being indicted, or Trump being taken out in some fashion. We are looking at two presumptive nominees, Hillary and Donald Trump, for the office. And there are two issues, and Trump was not my first choice either. I'm not a Trumpster. But one, he laid out 11 candidates that he thought would be excellent for the Supreme Court. Now, we know what Hillary Clinton will do, and we know how important the 4-4 split on the U.S. Supreme Court is right now. We unfortunately lost our best and brightest Judge Scalia. A 5-4 with an activist court and the U.S. Supreme Court overriding laws and rules, I think, is alone enough to go with Donald Trump over the known criminal quality of Hillary Clinton. That is one issue, and the other just raised its head again the other day. We are now bringing in tens of thousands of unvetted Muslims into this country. Some of them across a porous border, made so by Barack Obama, who has threatened border guards with their jobs if they do them. We are letting not only the South Americans and the Central Americans, but they have now caught a number of Arab terrorists coming across that porous border. And Barack Obama's bringing tens of thousands in. The majority, 99% of a recent survey showed they want to live under Sharia law. Not the Constitution of America. They don't want to assimilate. They want to live under Sharia law, and they will outproduce us on a 3-to-1 level as far as reproduction. All we have to do is look at Europe to see what will happen if we allow this to continue, and Hillary gives us no indication she's going to deviate from either her appointment on the Supreme Court or the immigration of these Muslims, which are diametrically opposed to our way of life. Now, those two issues, Trump has been very outspoken on what he wants to do to protect the border, to vet the Muslims before they come in, and he's been forward about the Supreme Court nominations. Those two issues alone, to me, David, mean that I have to vote. You talk about your conscience. My conscience says I cannot allow another 4 years of this kind of administration, and so I must vote for Donald Trump. Your response?
First, on the Supreme Court. You wrap that up very well. I do happen to disagree with Senator Grassley on his strategy here as Judiciary Chair. I don't believe that the way that this is being sold to people is that we've got to let the people decide by choosing the president so that we can have an influence there. And has everybody forgotten the fact that we think we put the right people on the Supreme Court? Take Chief Justice Roberts, for example, and what does he do? He gets back
and forth. It depends on the issue.
Back and forth. Now on that, but that's what Mr. Trump says. He takes that list, all good people. Each one of them could be a great justice. But there's no guarantee that he'll do that. Which Donald Trump are we going to listen to?
We've got a guarantee that Hillary will not do that, and she will put people like Ginsburg and Sotomayor on there, and so we know with certainty that we are going to get a 5-4, and some of those are on death's doorstep. So we'll probably get a 6-3, maybe even a 7-2.
I understand that, but again, I just want to warn everybody that that's what he says he will do. I know, but again, it gets to the point where I think it's a sad, sad day that these are the two people that we have to choose from.
I don't disagree,
out of this great
David.
Country,
David, I'm not disagreeing
with that. We've ruined the political environment out there so badly. We've let money take over control and all these things. Now let me just say,
we had Bobby Jindal in here. We had others that we agreed with. So on the outset, yes, there were bright people, there were good people, there were accomplished people that we could have selected, but we didn't. So go ahead.
Okay, so where are the Syrians coming in? Were you talking about on immigration that they're flowing in
Yes, all
here?
sorts of people. There are visas that are expiring that they're allowing them to come in, and Barack Obama has taken away the ability to, once a visa is expired, to get them out of here.
Okay.
Article today.
President Obama has said he wants by this fall to have 10,000 Syrian refugees here. Secretary Clinton has said she would like to have 65,000. We know that. To date, there's been fewer than 4,000 Syrian refugees have come into this country. It's a fact.
Well, I'm not just talking about Syrian refugees. I'm talking about
there
there are tens of thousands of Muslims that are streaming in here. Afghanis and all others.
Okay, there's other questions I could ask.
Well,
but we've got
let me
one
just
here.
ask, if you would have had your druthers in the whole situation, who would you have had been our nominee?
Carly Fiorina. I really would have.
Okay, well, and we would have gone with Carl, but let me get
But
you
we
to
don't have
answer the
that.
question.
Yeah.
We've got a certain disaster waiting with Hillary Clinton, a criminal individual that took $30 million from some of the same countries, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, some of the others that are over there, while she was in while she was in the Secretary of State's position for favors through the Clinton Crime Foundation. We know that she's a certain disaster, and Trump is uncertain. I give you that. But please answer the question why Trump, as uncertain as he is, wouldn't be better than Hillary Clinton.
Well, we don't know. We don't know which Donald Trump to trust. We pretty much know where Hillary Clinton is on everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that. But Donald Trump, he's got a lot to walk back before he is qualified to be president. So, Tom, you're a good friend. But here we are in the same situation. We're going to have to vote on the lesser of two evils, in my
I don't
view.
disagree with that, David.
I know, but that's where we are. And I believe that we should really pause as a people, as an American people, and understand how much our values and our morals have eroded away because we are always faced with this. We're so often we're faced with this.
We had millions of Christians that stayed home.
Yes.
In 2012 and thought that Mitt Romney was not good enough. People like Steve Day said, lesser of two evils, I'm not voting for either one of them. We knew that Barack Obama, after 4 years, was an absolute disaster for this country. We got 4 more years of him because millions of Christians thought the same way. Lesser of two evils, I'm not going to do it.
All right, we're at our last hard break. David Johnson, District 1 State Senator, is our guest. We'll find out more from him and his future live next here on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coach with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Hank the Bible Answer Man, 1-888-ASK-HANK. Let's go to the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. And I think we have a listener who has a question for you, Senator.
Yes, here is the question. Well, the demonization of the establishment has become a popular sentiment in both parties in recent years and has led to the popularity of both Trump and Sanders. Can you talk a little bit about both the wisdom and the danger of this sentiment?
Of the establishment. I see there being two establishments. There's the establishment would be, those in terms of Republicans. It would be, people who have, a sense of service. And then the other part of the establishment is, and I think that there are many of those who believe in trying to heal this country's wounds. And then you have an establishment that is all about control. It's all about being in power. Now, maybe that's the establishment we generally refer to. Is are we just doing this to be in power? So the question is, again, you'll have to help me that.
Well, demonization
the demonization
of both
that.
sides.
There's
Democrats, Republicans.
The problem is that there are good people there, and if we continue to demonize anyone that's serving as an elected official or serving the public even as in an unelected position, we're not going to get anybody that has the values that so many of us, I think, believe in this audience, believe in. They just won't put themselves through that ringer. It's a terrible, terrible ringer out there.
What would Donald Trump need to do to get your support personally?
He's not going to get it. I'm done. When you question the ethnicity of a U.S. citizen who happens to be a federal judge on a case involving one of your former enterprises, and he does it publicly by name, I'm done. That's it. Same thing with Ted Cruz. When he and his, I'm not saying him necessarily, but when his campaign did what they did to Dr. Carson.
Ben Carson.
During the Iowa caucuses, I'm done. That's it. That was I am not going to give somebody another chance on that.
So what do you think about the argument that I proposed before this last break, that by you saying that Donald Trump is not pure enough, and we're going to have to choose between the lesser two evils, and so you're going to vote for maybe nobody on the executive level, or maybe you'll go with Gary Johnson, the pot-smoking libertarian.
I can't go there. It's
all right.
More than pot smoking.
So yeah, well, yeah, I know.
We can put the whole list together.
So,
here,
but you're not going to vote for anybody president. You're going to vote for the down line.
I am going to vote the down line.
And presumably nearly all Republicans there, but you're not going to vote. And because you're not going to vote, you're going to take us one step closer to Hillary Clinton for 4 years as president.
I want someone to vote for. I can find that down ballot. I cannot find that in President of the United States.
When are you up for re-election again?
In 2 years.
Okay. What do you think you'll do then?
I don't know. I'm taking this move right now, one day at a time.
Okay.
One day at a time. And I've said since June 7th, which was primary election day, that I would wait until after the convention and see what happens during the convention. I'm still not convinced that Donald Trump's going to be our nominee.
Okay.
So I'll take it that far. But come November, it's critical because we are in the minority in the Senate. Democrats control the Senate 26-24, but it's been that way since 2007. There's something wrong with the Republican message that we can't get more Republicans elected to the Iowa Senate. We need some changes within our own Senate caucus, I believe, and we'll just see what happens there.
We had a sea change in 10 of over 600 local in the 99 because Nebraska's unicameral. We had 600 state, House, and Senate seats changed. How come we didn't sweep Iowa in that? How come Iowa didn't get swept up in that sea change?
Because we didn't have the right candidates. Quite frankly, we didn't have the strong enough candidates that fit their districts. See, what you can do is you can have a very rigid basis for being a Republican candidate, pro-life, pro-gun, limited government. I'm going to lower your taxes, and you know what? That just doesn't work all the time, all across the state. I live in the western part of the state where a lot of those values still matter. The eastern part of the state is a toss-up. That's where we lack It's in the metropolitan areas and whatever. But as Republicans, we are chasing away millennials. We are chasing away minorities. And our base is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. We have got to be a bigger party.
So what do you think the Republican message needs to be?
The Republican message needs to be that we don't have to squeeze to death our education system, our judicial system, public safety, and our environmental programs. But we are slowly squeezing them to death. And it's not helping the state. For example, Iowa should be primed for school choice. Absolutely, this should be a school choice state. I come from the most school choice area of the state. But we can't do it by constantly picking on the public school system. We've got to work together to really give families school choice. I really believe in that. And getting back to Senator Zahn, who's expecting me to come back to my senses here sometime, which I'm not going to, because I never left.
You
if you're listening, Brad,
my
senses never left me. Anyway, but you know, it's issues like that we can't make any progress because we've become so divided between Republicans who are for school choice and Democrats who back the establishment teachers union and so on and so on.
Well, look at this, David. Hillary Clinton's admonishment now is to cramp down on the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't have to look any further than France, who just had lost 2 more people to terrorism last night, as the most rigid country probably in the industrialized world, opposed to any gun ownership, mm-hmm. and they have been the victims time and time again. Gun control will not solve this issue, and yet that's her solution to Islamic terrorism.
That's her solution, and if it's something that trips over what is known as the Second Amendment, then it's up to us. The people have got to get behind court challenges into that, get the right people on the courts. I agree with that.
Which then comes back around to my point in the Supreme Court.
I know it does.
Okay.
The Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. But it's too bad we've got people seeing that a different way. You're looking at me.
Because we're out of time.
We are, okay.
But thank you very
All
much.
right, okay.
I want to look you in the eyes and tell you before you go, I respect you.
Well, thank you.
I can't really compare it, your world and my world, but if I was in your world, I would have to do the same thing.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted you to know that. So thank you very much for being a man of integrity.
Thank you.
All right, we are done for the day. As always, at the end of the show, I ask you to forgive. Quit carrying resentments, man. Just give them up. Give them to Jesus. That's what he's there for. Because remember, as you forgive, that's how you'll be forgiven. I'll see you at Hope.